Did you know, according to the FDA and the National Institute on Aging, improperly storing certain vegetables can increase cancer-causing compounds by up to 75% and destroy over 60% of heart protective antioxidants within just a few days? Shocking, right? And yet, millions of seniors across the US are unknowingly doing this every single day by placing the wrong vegetables in the refrigerator. What's worse, some of these veggies can produce mold, toxins, or spike blood sugar, leading to dangerous outcomes for older adults with weak digestion or diabetes. In today's video, as a US geriatric doctor, I'll reveal the 5 vegetables you should never store in the fridge with scientific reasons and real-life health risks you probably never expected. Before we dive into the list, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Elderly Health Tips so you never miss life-saving advice for you or your loved ones. The first vegetable we need to pay special attention to is potatoes. Did you know the way you store your potatoes could secretly raise your cancer risk or even mess with your memory as you get older? I get why so many people do it, it sounds perfectly reasonable. But here's the scientific truth. When potatoes are kept at low temperatures, especially below 50 degrees Fahrenheit, about 10 degrees Celsius, the starch in the potatoes turns into sugar faster than usual. According to the US Food and Drug Administration, FDA, this buildup of sugar becomes a problem when we cook potatoes at high temperatures, like frying, roasting, or baking. Why? Because the sugars react with an amino acid called asparagine to create acrylamide substance. The U.S. National Toxicology Program has labeled as reasonably anticipated to be a human carcinogen. What's even more concerning is that acrylamide isn't just linked to cancer. Studies have shown it can negatively affect the nervous system, increasing the risk of cognitive decline, especially in older adults. In fact, an FDA report warns that acrylamide might cause subtle but cumulative changes in nerve function, potentially impacting memory, focus, or processing speed over time. So, while putting your potatoes in the fridge might seem like a way to make them last longer, it can actually set off chemical reactions you definitely don't want. Instead, experts in the US recommend storing potatoes in a cool, dry, well-ventilated place, ideally at room temperature or between about 45-55 degrees Fahrenheit, 7-13 degrees Celsius, but not colder. And keep them away from onions and other veggies that might trigger faster sprouting. The FDA found that French fries made from potatoes stored in the fridge can contain up to twice as much acrylamide compared to fries made from potatoes kept at room temperature. A study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry, 2019, showed that potatoes stored below 50 degrees Fahrenheit for more than 4 weeks had a 45-60% increase in free sugars, leading to a significant spike in acrylamide levels when fried. And according to the FDA's guidance on acrylamide, the agency estimates that the average American adult consumes about 0.4 to 1.0 micrograms of acrylamide per kilogram of body weight each day. For older adults, this buildup is especially concerning because our body's ability to repair cellular damage naturally declines with age. Now, that might sound tiny, a few micrograms doesn't seem like a big deal, right? But think about it. If you regularly eat French fries, cookies, toasted bread, or any food cooked at high heat, the acrylamide can add up faster than you'd expect. And especially for older folks, the body simply doesn't process harmful substances as efficiently as it used to, letting silent damage accumulate over the years. Some experts even warn that acrylamide might contribute to a higher risk of neurological diseases or possibly Alzheimer's because it can harm brain cells over time. Although the link isn't fully proven yet, scientists agree that the less acrylamide in your diet, the better, especially as we get older. Beyond the cancer risk, there's something else that worries me as a geriatric doctor: neurotoxicity. Acrylamide has been shown in animal studies and some human epidemiological data to potentially damage nerve tissue. According to a report from the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry, ATSDR, long-term exposure to acrylamide has been linked to peripheral neuropathy, which can cause numbness, tingling, or muscle weakness symptoms I often see in older patients who just chalk it up to getting old. More recent studies, like reports from the European Food Safety Authority, EFSA, and a review in the journal Food and Chemical Toxicology, also suggest there could be a connection between dietary acrylamide intake and cognitive decline, although the evidence in humans is still being investigated. What's striking to me is how many of my patients come in complaining of numbness in their hands or feet, tingling sensations, or feeling off balance. A lot of them assume it's just part of aging, but sometimes the cause is more complicated than that. When I dig deeper into their eating habits, quite a few mention eating French fries almost daily or loving crispy, golden fried foods. They have no idea that these seemingly harmless foods might be contributing to the symptoms they're dealing with. Another thing that concerns me is the potential impact of acrylamide on the brain. Older adults are already more prone to issues with memory, focus, and slower processing speed. If acrylamide really does play a role in driving cognitive decline, then cutting down on acrylamide in the diet becomes even more crucial. Even though science hasn't definitively proven it 100%, I always tell my patients that it's better safe than sorry. The next vegetable is tomatoes. Could the way you store your tomatoes be robbing you of powerful cancer, fighting, and heart protective benefits without you even knowing it? Chilling tomatoes below roughly 55 degrees Fahrenheit, 13 degrees Celsius, damages key enzymes and cell structures. According to research from the University of Florida, storing tomatoes in the fridge interrupts their production of volatile compounds that give them their delicious aroma and flavor. One study in Post-Harvest Biology and Technology, 2016, found refrigeration causes a 65% reduction in volatile compounds responsible for tomatoes' natural flavor. Another research paper from the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, PNAS, reported that just 7 days of cold storage is enough to significantly reduce gene expression related to flavor production in tomatoes. Beyond taste, there's a bigger concern for older adults: the antioxidant lycopene. Lycopene is the red pigment in tomatoes, and it's been studied extensively for its health benefits. The American Institute for Cancer Research reports that lycopene-rich diets can lower the risk of prostate cancer by around 11 to 19%. A large study from the Harvard School of Public Health found men consuming 10 or more servings of tomato products weekly had a 35% lower risk of developing prostate cancer compared to those who ate less than 1.5 servings weekly. A meta-analysis published in Nutrients, 2020, found that people with higher blood levels of lycopene had a 17% lower risk of cardiovascular disease. Research in the Journal of Nutrition, 2002, showed that higher lycopene intake was associated with a 50% lower risk of heart attacks in middle-aged and older men. So why does cold storage matter? Because studies, including one in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry, 2019, suggest chilling tomatoes not only diminishes taste but can reduce the structural integrity of the cells, potentially making lycopene less bioavailable, meaning your body absorbs less of it. That's a big deal for people like Mr. Thompson, a 69-year-old patient of mine who's had early prostate issues and is trying to boost his lycopene intake for prevention. Here's what I recommend for my older patients and anyone approaching their senior years. Store tomatoes at room temperature, ideally around 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 to 21 degrees Celsius, away from direct sunlight. This preserves both their flavor and their nutritional value. Consider cooking your tomatoes sometimes. Lycopene becomes more bioavailable when tomatoes are gently cooked. For instance, research from the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry shows that cooking tomatoes with olive oil can increase lycopene absorption by up to 2 to 3 times compared to eating them raw. Eat a variety of tomato products. Tomato sauces, pastes, and soups can be great sources of lycopene. For example, a half cup of tomato paste can contain over 30 milligrams of lycopene, while a medium raw tomato has about 3 to 5 milligrams. Pay attention to your body. For older men, urinary frequency, difficulty starting urination, or pelvic discomfort might be early signs of prostate changes. And for both men and women, heart health depends greatly on keeping inflammation low, which antioxidants like lycopene can help manage. Fun fact, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, estimates the average American eats around 20 pounds of tomatoes per year, mostly as processed products like sauces and ketchup. So storing fresh tomatoes properly matters more than people think because every bit of lycopene counts. The vegetable in third place is onions. Here's what many folks don't realize. Refrigerators, while cool, are typically very humid inside often, between 80% and 95% relative humidity, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA. While that's great for some produce, it's bad news for onions. High humidity causes onions to absorb moisture from the air, leading to soft spots, faster spoilage, and a higher risk of mold growth. Several studies back this up. A report in Journal of Food Science, 2017, found that onions stored at high humidity had a nearly 40% increase in moisture content compared to those stored in dry conditions, resulting in significantly shorter shelf life. Research in Food Control, 2019, showed that onions kept at temperatures below 50 degrees Fahrenheit in humid environments were 3 times more likely to develop surface mold than those stored in cool, dry, ventilated areas. According to data from the USDA's Agricultural Research Service, losses from spoilage in stored onions can account for up to 15 to 25% of the harvested crop, much of it linked to improper storage, including excessive moisture. And here's what worries me the most: your health. Some molds that grow in onions, especially when stored in damp or poorly ventilated environments, can produce a dangerous toxin called aflatoxin. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, aflatoxin is one of the most powerful naturally occurring carcinogens known to science. It's mainly produced by molds like Aspergillus flavus and Aspergillus parasiticus, which thrive in warm, humid conditions. The exact kind of environment you might accidentally create if you store onions in the fridge or leave them in a damp pantry. Long-term exposure to aflatoxin has been linked to liver cancer, liver scarring, cirrhosis, and weakened immune function, as reported by the World Health Organization, WHO, and the U.S. National Cancer Institute, NCI. And this isn't just theory, it's backed up by real data. A 2013 study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, JAMA, found that people living in areas with high dietary exposure to aflatoxin had a 2.5 times higher risk of developing hepatocellular carcinoma, most common type of liver cancer. What's scary is that aflatoxin contamination doesn't always show visible signs. You might not see or smell anything unusual with that onion, but the toxin could already be there, especially if it's been sitting around too long under the wrong conditions. That's why tossing out onions that are soft, discolored, or showing mold isn't wasteful, it's smart. For older adults whose liver function might already be more vulnerable because of age or medications, even low levels of long-term exposure could pose a bigger risk than we'd like to admit. And honestly, no one wants to find out years later that something as seemingly harmless as a moldy onion was quietly damaging their health all along. Here's the advice I give anyone heading into middle age or their senior years. Store whole onions in a dry, well-ventilated place like a mesh basket or an open shelf in your kitchen. Ideal temperature, around 45-55 degrees Fahrenheit, 7-13 degrees Celsius. Don't keep onions next to potatoes. Potatoes release moisture and ethylene gas, which can make both spoil faster. Check your onions regularly. If you see mold, softness, or smell anything, I'll throw them out right away. Don't just cut away the bad parts, because aflatoxin can penetrate deeper than you can see. For cut onions, it's fine to refrigerate them, but keep them sealed tightly and use them within 3-4 days. Older adults should watch for signs of liver trouble, like fatigue, yellowing of the skin or eyes, pain in the liver area, or unexplained weight loss. Never just assume that's just how it is when you get older. The truth is, small changes in how you store your food can make a big difference for your health. especially as your body becomes more sensitive to toxins over time. I always tell my patients, the fewer toxins that get into your body, the less work your liver has to do. And when it comes to the liver, accumulation is the real silent enemy. It might not cause problems today, but a few years down the road, you could start seeing the consequences. A lot of people think a little mold won't hurt, but honestly, it's just not worth the risk. Your health is worth way more than any single food item, even an onion. We can't control everything, but we can control how we store and choose our food. In fourth place is garlic. Garlic might look tough, but it's surprisingly sensitive to cold, damp environments. Storing garlic in the refrigerator makes it sprout faster, turns the cloves soft, and worst of all, it reduces important sulfur compounds like allicin. Allicin is the star compound in garlic. It's been studied for tons of health benefits. The National Institutes of Health, NIH, reports that allicin helps dilate blood vessels and lower blood pressure, which is especially important for older adults. A meta-analysis published in the Journal of Nutrition, 2016, found that garlic supplements rich in allicin helped reduce systolic blood pressure by an average of 810 mmHg in people with hypertension. That's nearly comparable to the effect of some prescription blood pressure medications. The American Heart Association has also noted that garlic may benefit heart health because of its anti-inflammatory and blood-thinning properties. Plus, allicin has anti-inflammatory effects that can help ease joint pain, a big deal for older adults dealing with arthritis. Many of my older patients love using garlic, not only because they believe in its benefits, but also because it's such a staple ingredient in everyday cooking. But what they often don't realize is that how you store garlic can directly affect how well those benefits actually work. Keeping garlic in the fridge doesn't just rob it of its strong, spicy flavor, it also weakens its ability to produce allicin when it's chopped or crushed. And it's precisely that chopping and crushing that kickstarts the chemical reaction to create allicinzo. If garlic has already lost its punch from being stored the wrong way, you're missing out on the best it has to offer. Here's the advice I give anyone who wants to keep their heart and joints healthy as they age. Store whole garlic bulbs in a dry, well-ventilated area like a mesh basket on your kitchen counter or an open shelf in your pantry. The ideal temperature is around 60-65 degrees Fahrenheit, 15-18 degrees Celsius. Avoid storing garlic in damp places. High humidity makes garlic sprout and mold more quickly. Use fresh garlic regularly. A study published in Food Chemistry, 2015, found that chopping or crushing garlic and letting it sit for about 10 minutes before cooking can significantly boost the formation of allicin, maximizing its health. Benefits. Pay attention to signs that garlic has gone bad. Sprouted garlic isn't harmful, but it often tastes bitter and loses many of its beneficial compounds. If you see black spots, mold, or the cloves are mushy, it's time to toss it. Older adults should regularly monitor their blood pressure and any joint pain. If your numbers start creeping up or your joints hurt more than usual, that might be your body telling you to take a closer look at your diet and lifestyle. I always remind my patients, small, everyday habits can lead to big long-term results. With garlic, it's not just about flavor, it's part of your natural medicine cabinet if you use it right. A lot of older folks I talk to have used garlic for years but never realized how to get the most from it. Something as simple as letting it sit for a few minutes after chopping or storing it correctly can help preserve the powerful compounds your body needs. And don't forget, heart health and joint health are more connected than people think. High blood pressure puts strain on the heart, sure, but it can also impact blood flow to your joints and contribute to inflammation. On the flip side, chronic joint pain can limit movement, cause weight gain, and that extra weight raises your blood pressure. It becomes a cycle, but it's one you can break early on with smart food choices, weight management, and using powerful foods like garlic wisely. Let's move on to number 5. Mint and other fresh herbs, such as cilantro, perilla, basil, etc. The truth is, herbs like basil, cilantro, mint, and shisotieto are extremely sensitive to cold and humidity. The refrigerator, especially when set below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, 4 degrees Celsius, can cause their cell walls to break down, leading to wilting, surface decay, and bacterial growth. Research from the University of California Cooperative Extension found that when herbs are stored in sealed plastic inside the fridge, moisture gets trapped, causing the leaf to become water-soaked and brown within 48-72 hours. More alarmingly, a study in the Journal of Food Protection, 2018, revealed that once herbs begin to break down, they can develop bacterial loads exceeding 10 CFU colony-forming units per gram, which is enough to trigger gastrointestinal symptoms, especially in seniors with lower immunity. Let's talk numbers. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, over 48 million Americans suffer from foodborne illness each year. Among those, adults over 65 are 4 times more likely to be hospitalized due to complications like dehydration, infections, and electrolyte imbalances. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, places leafy herbs among the top 10 fresh produce items, most commonly linked to outbreaks of foodborne illness, citing improper storage and microbial contamination as key factors. A report from Colorado State University Extension confirmed that herbs stored in plastic containers in cold environments had a 45% higher rate of surface mold and bacterial growth compared to herbs stored in a water-filled jar at room temperature. Older adults have more fragile digestive systems. With age, we produce less stomach acid, which means we're less equipped to kill harmful bacteria before they reach the intestines. For someone like Mrs. Dawson, who also has mild IBS, 7 a small handful of slimy mint leaves in her smoothie could set off diarrhea, gas, or painful bloating for days. So, what's the best approach for people in their 50s, 60s, and beyond? Here's what I recommend to every patient who enjoys cooking with fresh herbs. Store soft herbs like cilantro, basil, and mint upright in a glass of water at room temperature, like a bouquet of flowers. Loosely cover them with a damp paper towel or breathable produce bag. Avoid sealed plastic bags or airtight containers in the fridge. These trap moisture and speed up spoilage. Use herbs within 2-3 days of purchase, and don't wash them until right before use to avoid premature rot. Inspect herbs daily. Signs of trouble include blackened edges, soggy leaves, a musty odor, or visible mold on stems. For older adults, watch out for symptoms like unexpected bloating, cramping, diarrhea, or fatigue after eating healthy meals. It could be spoiled herbs, not your gut acting up on its own. And here's something few people realize. Sprigs of spoiled herbs don't have to be visibly rotten to carry bacteria. Even slight wilting can lead to microbial growth invisible to the eye. That's why prevention matters more than damage control. So, what's the takeaway here? Something as simple as how you store everyday foods like potatoes, tomatoes, onions, garlic, and fresh herbs can make a big difference in your health, especially as we age. From hidden toxins to lost nutrients and unexpected digestive trouble, it all starts right in your kitchen. But the good news is you can take control, starting today. Just by making a few small changes in your storage habits, you'll be protecting your heart, your brain, your liver, and your gut. Pretty amazing, right? If this helped you or someone you love, don't keep it to yourself. Go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to Elderly Health Tips for more simple, science-backed ways to age with strength and peace of mind. Your health is worth it, and so are you.